Okie dokie. So, hello everybody, and welcome to the June edition of the Welsh Azure User Group. Thanks for joining, everyone. As always, monthly event. This is still a virtual event at the moment, put together by those lovely folk there on the screen. Myself and Matt are here tonight. If you've got any questions, thoughts, ideas, please do reach out to us. If you want to speak, we do have a sessionized page, but equally feel free to reach out to one of us. There's all our contact details and LinkedIn page and things like that. So absolutely no problem at all. Please don't forget to kind of follow along, tweet us, follow us on Twitter, and we've got a LinkedIn group there. If you do follow us along, help us spread the word with, kind of tagging us in your tweets and posts and using hashtag WAUG, WAUG. That'd be cool, kind of help us spread the word. So tonight we've got a couple of great speakers for you and some great content to go through this evening. We've got Sagar that will join us in about 5 or 10 minutes now, just as soon as I get through these slides, to talk to us about near real-time analytics using Azure Synapse. So really interested in that talk myself, looking forward to that one. And then Arindam is going to join us a little bit later on to talk around using Azure DevOps and Fetching Selective Secrets and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces. But when you've got no access to a key vault, how do you kind of manage those things? So again, another cool session after Sagar's. So timing wise, they're 45-minute sessions. So like I say, we'll kick off in a minute with Sagar's talk. It'll be around about 45 minutes. Arindam around about 7:30, and we do have a quiz. Our wonderful quiz master Matt is there on the line. Looking forward to it as ever. A couple of Amazon gift vouchers, so do stick around to the end. Like I say, we are probably a little bit lighter on numbers than we usually are, but hey ho, we'll still run through the quiz all the same. Looking for approximate close around about 8:30, something like that. So we'll see how we get on. Housekeeping, as always, please everybody be courteous to each other. There's, goes without saying that we need to be respectful to each other, whether we're speaking or on the chat. There's no silly questions here. So if the whole point of these sessions is for people to ask those questions that, look, if you're going to ask it, it's the usual. Somebody else is probably thinking it anyway, so ask away. Please do stay on mute unless you're invited to speak by the session host, but you can use the chat window. So pop any questions in there. There's a few of us, like myself and Matt, we can moderate that. There's not many of us at the minute, so we can keep an eye on that and obviously filter those through to the speaker if we need to. We do have a feedback form at the end of the event. There's a QR code or a URL you can use. Do provide us some feedback. It's always useful to kind of help set up future sessions. And like I say, the quiz is there with it's got to be award-winning soon, Matt. The award-winning quiz. I'm going to preempt that one, but
yeah. Well,
if you've not,
you did say there were no silly questions, but there are very much silly questions in the quiz.
Fair enough. So there are silly questions.
Just only in the quiz.
Just in the quiz, but stick around for that. I mean, that was, if you've not seen Matt's session on building that quiz platform, it's in, what was it, 2 or 3 months ago now, Matt, wasn't it? You gave us a run through, but it's a platform that our very own Mr. Fatunka has put together, and it's a great platform. So yeah, stick around and use it. It's all running on Azure as well. Why wouldn't it be? But more important, be interactive, enjoy the sessions, and get involved where you can. So there's our housekeeping rules. Just a quick note about Quizzer. Like I say, Matt, you put this together. Well, it's been a labour of love over the last good few months, hasn't it? And we've been using it in anger for the last 2 or 3 months, I think, now, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a fun little project, and I'm sure it'll spawn more talks in the future as I optimize it and I tweak it and I use new services to build it. So
yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Go and check it out. I think Matt has open sourced it, so go and check it out. Put some issues up there. Make a pull request if you want. Okay, just a quick shout out as always to our sponsors of these events. So Servant have been supportive to the Welsh User Group, as they are to a couple of other user groups across the UK. They've been fantastic support to us. Well, for the last 2 years, we are coming up to our 2nd year anniversary, which will be over the next month or two. So look out for what we do there. But big shout out to Servant. Equally, same footing as Admiral. They've been a part of the Welsh Azure setup for the last 2 years. So huge shout out to those guys. And NetApp, of course, they're also another huge supporter of our user group, and of course, helps us put these sessions on, gives us some financial support where we need it, and helps us gain speakers as well from those great organizations. So I'm going to stop rattling on now, and I think I'm going to hand you over to Sagar to kind of kick things off a little bit earlier than scheduled. But yeah, I think Sagar, if you're good to go, I'll hand straight on over to you. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John, for the really good introduction. I can start, I think. So I will hope my voice is audible, and even my screen is able, you all are able to see my screen.
Got you loud and clear.
Okay, that's perfect. So yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Just a minute. Yeah, so yeah, very good evening to everyone. Welcome to the session. So yeah, I will start with a brief of introduction about myself, and then we talk about the topic for today. So my name is Sagar. I have total 9+ years of IT experience. Currently, I'm working as a technical solution architect in Netherlands. I am working with TCS, and yeah, I have been working with Azure in data analytics domain for quite some time. I have worked with various data engineering, data governance, machine learning, and AI projects. Yeah, so during the session, we can make it more interactive. So feel free to ask the question by raising your hand. And in case I am not able to provide you answer, maybe we can also catch up later on LinkedIn or via any other forum. Yeah, so that's brief introduction about me. So in today's session, we are going to talk about how we can implement near real-time analytics with Azure Synapse together with Cosmos DB. So the agenda for today's session includes introduction to Cosmos DB and Azure Synapse and what is the Synapse link. And then we will also take into account how we can actually implement end-to-end real-time analytics with Azure Synapse for Cosmos DB. And yeah, if there are any closing questions at the end, we can take it up. Yeah, so feel free to ask your question in between. So yeah, right now we are talking about near real-time application. So we all know we are dealing with huge amount of data. We deal with various volume of data and a variety of data. In order to get this data and make it usable for the end user or also for any business insights, of course, we can use patch pattern, but by the time the data reaches, and then if we do any transaction on the top of it, it might be little delayed. So there is a need where we want to consume the data in a near real time, and then we should be able to get the business insights or take corrective actions accordingly. So there are certain challenges that we face when we talk about traditional workload analytics with Cosmos DB. So for those who doesn't know, Cosmos database is one of the database or service storage service available in Microsoft, which supports multiple APIs. We will also talk about Cosmos DB in later in the slides. So let's talk about the challenges that we face with the traditional workload with Cosmos DB. So the first one is manipulating the amount of provision throughput. So when we provision Cosmos DB, we have to already determine the workload, and then we have to provision some throughput beforehand. Then use chain data feed to move data to Cosmos DB. Because we don't want to duplicate the data, you have to use chain data feature, or you have to create that kind of mechanism to move data to Cosmos DB. And then the third major challenge that we face is to develop custom ETL mechanism by which we extract, transform the data, and then load the data to Cosmos DB based on the requirement or prerequisites. In order to solve this problem or avoid these manual activities or complexity, there is an option available within Azure. We can create an Azure Synapse links for Cosmos DB, which is available by default when you create Cosmos DB instance. So what it does is it will enable analytics over transactional data without impacting the transactional workload. So you will be able to do all the transactional workload and transactional activities on the top of database but without impacting it, we can also perform analytics with the help of Synapse Link. Then Azure Cosmos DB Analytics Store. It has Azure Cosmos DB Analytics Store, which allows you to sync transactional data into a column store, which is really good from the performance point of view. We don't have to develop any custom mechanism. We don't have to use any chain data feed mechanism, or we don't have to develop such custom mechanism or ETL pipeline. So there is no need to develop it, as well as no need to maintain it. So that way it reduces the complexity and it simplifies the overall data ingestion to Cosmos DB. And we can get the data into Cosmos DB in near real time without performing any batch pattern. So without any delays, we should be able to consume the data. So that these are the challenges which can be overcome by using the inbuilt feature of Synapse Link for Cosmos DB. Yeah, so I hope it is clear. So this is just an overview of the overall solution, how we can achieve near real-time analytics with Azure Synapse Link for the Cosmos DB. But before we deep dive into the actual solution, let's also understand the basics of Cosmos DB and Azure Synapse, and then we deep dive into the solution. So first of all, Cosmos DB. Azure Cosmos DB is Microsoft globally distributed and multi-model NoSQL database. The main advantage of using this database is it allows us to elastically and independently scale both in terms of throughput as well as storage any region. So basically, Cosmos DB has inbuilt a feature. If you want to provision the throughput beforehand, you can provision the throughput, or if you want to auto scale, then also it is possible to enable the auto scaling mechanism, which will be a bit costlier than having the provision throughput. And this Cosmos DB can be replicated and used across multiple regions, so which makes it highly available. Now coming back to the Cosmos DB, it has 4 flavors. So we can use SQL or MongoDB API, which is basically the document data. Table API, which is basically a key value data. Cassandra API, which is basically a columnar data, and Gremlin API, which is basically a graph data. So based on your requirement and the way you want to store the data and make it consumable for the end users, you can create API with a specific instance. With Cosmos DB, it also allows us to build a highly responsive application worldwide. We already discussed at the beginning, we can replicate the region where we can replicate the data across multiple regions. We can also enable geo-replication, which makes the database and data highly available in terms of both reads and writes. Apart from that, it also provides quite some flexibility. So when we talk about Cosmos DB during the Cosmos DB creation itself, it has 5 levels of defined consistency models. So strong, bounded stillness, session, consistent prefix, and eventual. So based on your requirement, we can also determine the consistency model, which provides more flexibility for the end user in terms of consistency. So based on your requirement, if you want your consistency to be strong, then you can choose strong, and then in the later order, the consistency priority will be reduced. So this is the basic introduction of Cosmos database. In the later slides, we will also look at how to create Cosmos DB and how exactly it looks like when we want to enable Synapse Link for the Cosmos DB. So until now, is it clear? Any queries? Yeah, I take it as no. And yeah, we can move forward.
One question. Sorry, Sagar, I think we had one question, but hopefully I got it right there. Richard was just asking around Synapse Link and Azure, using that with Azure SQL DB. I don't know if you've got any pointers around that or no. I found there's a preview.
Yeah, so Azure Synapse Link, as of now, Azure Synapse Link cannot be used with SQL DB. It is one of the feature which is available internally within Cosmos. So once you create a Cosmos instance, when you go to the Data Explorer screen, this feature will be visible. So the answer is no.
Yeah, sorry. No, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Then after understanding the basics of Cosmos DB, let's also understand what is Azure Synapse and how we are going to leverage the Synapse link to create to enable real-time data ingestion for the Cosmos DB. So Azure Synapse is an integrated analytics service which allows to use SQL and Spark for our analytics and data warehousing needs. So basically, with the help of Synapse, we can build our data pipelines. It can be ELT, ETL, or it can also be for any other purpose. So basically, you will be able to create a pipeline which can extract the data, transform the data, and load the data to your target database. Apart from that, we can also integrate Azure Synapse with all other Azure services like Azure ML, Power BI, and Cosmos DB. So it has full integration with all other Azure services, which can be connected, which we can connect it directly and leverage them for the better usage. Synapse also provides unified management, monitoring, and security over the enterprise data lake. So when we build the enterprise data lake, if you want to enable continuous monitoring and security of the data which is being stored in data lake, yeah, we can use Synapse. We can create proactive monitoring dashboards along with Power BI to very closely monitor and understand how the data is being used. Apart from that, Synapse also has Synapse Studio, which basically gives data engineers, BI engineers, and data scientists a unified experience to build complete analytics solution. So yeah, this is the basics of Azure Synapse. Now coming back to the main topic, what is Azure Synapse Link for Cosmos DB and how we can leverage it to create near real-time solutions. So basically, Synapse Link for Cosmos DB is a cloud-native capability available within Cosmos DB. It is hybrid transactional and it basically enables the workload with hybrid transactional and analytical processing. So it allows to run near real-time analytics over the data stored in Cosmos DB through the Cosmos DB Analytics Store. So it provides a way to perform near real-time analytics on the top of data without performing any additional any ETL pipelines. So in a traditional solution, when we used to work earlier in Azure, maybe we used to create ETL pipelines with the combination of Data Factory and Databricks. In that case, you have to develop all the custom logic and make sure all the whatever language you are comfortable, maybe Python, Scala, Java, or PySpark. You have to write a code, you have to schedule the code, and then make sure that the data will be ingested into the Cosmos database. But with the help of Azure Synapse Link, it basically avoids all these overheads. So you just enable the Synapse link, and then whenever there is a request, data will be ingested directly to the Cosmos DB without creating any custom solution. So basically, this is the Cosmos DB OLTP database with row-based indexes. Once we enable Cosmos DB Analytics Store, and whenever there is a file available, it will trigger the Synapse link, and which will make sure that the data will be ingested into the Cosmos database. So in the last slide, we also briefly talked about the Cosmos DB Analytics Store. So let's understand what is called a Cosmos DB Analytics Store. So Analytics Store is an isolated column store which allows to perform analytics against transactional data without impacting the transactional workload. So basically, Analytics Store is a row store which is basically optimized to perform transactional reads and writes. It is schema agnostic. So even though whenever if there is any change in the schema, then you will be able to detect it and you will be able to ingest and read the data. And it also allows the iteration on our application without having to manage the schemas. So no need to worry about the schema and indexes. Everything will be taken care in the background. Then Cosmos DB Analytics Store also helps to perform super fast transactional reads and write with Cosmos DB. So we can extract the data out of Cosmos DB into a separate data layer suited to perform analytics workload using the change feed. So let's say what we can do is we can spin up an Azure function. We can continuously listen to the blob storage or container whenever there is any insert or update. Then that document should be we should be able to get the data into the data lake or blob storage. So we can enable this. We don't have to write any custom logic. With Cosmos DB Analytics Store, once we enable the feature and we try to configure which blob storage or container we want to listening, whenever there is a data, the ingestion will be done automatically to the Cosmos DB without doing any custom development. So Analytics Store is a column store which is optimized for transactional as well as analytical query performance. So we can sync our operational data in the raw data store in a separate column. And we can also perform analytical queries without developing or without using any ETL pipelines. So when we enable this feature on the top of Cosmos DB, isolated column store will be created based on the operational data, which is persisted separately. And there is also an auto sync feature in Cosmos DB Analytics Store. So regardless of the intensity of the transactional data, without impacting the performance, it will make sure that our transactional workload will happen and we'll be able to ingest the transactional data. So these are a few of the basic features of Cosmos DB Analytics Store, which is being used when we enable Synapse links for the Cosmos DB. Yeah, so with Cosmos DB Analytics Store, there are basically two modes of schema representation when we talk about schema agnostics. So we have well-defined schema representation mode and full fidelity schema representation mode. In the well-defined schema representation mode, it will basically present a tabular version of the data in a transactional store. While in the full fidelity schema presentation, it handles the full breadth of schema which exists in the transactional data. In well-defined schema, properties in the document always have the same data type and array type, which must contain a single repeated type. So yeah, these are the two modes which are available with Cosmos DB Analytics Store, which can be used as per our requirements. Yeah, so now coming back to how we can enable the Synapse link. First of all, we have to create the Cosmos DB instance. Once when you create the Cosmos DB instance, you will have an option to create multiple APIs. So it can be Gremlin, it can be column store, it can be Cassandra, or it can be document DB. So once the Cosmos DB account is created and the Cosmos DB database is created, when you open the Data Explorer, you will have an option like this near to the new container. Where with this option, you will be able to enable Azure Synapse link. So once you click on the button to enable the Synapse link, which is currently in a preview mode, it will take few minutes to take into the effect. But once it is done, we can go through the process of setting of our container to use the analytics store. So this is the container which is available within the Cosmos DB, which can be leveraged to continuously get the data with the help of this Synapse link. Now, how we should set up the customer. So how we should set up the container. So let's try to walk through the process of creating Azure Cosmos DB container, but at the same time, we will also enable the analytics store. So first of all, go to the option. So let's go back to the previous slide. There is an option to create a new container. So click on the new container. Once you click on the new container, then you will receive a pop-up like this. So once you receive the pop-up, you have to fill in multiple information. So you have to provide the container name. You have to provide the partition key, which is a mandatory field. So you have to provide the throughput. So there are two options. You can enable manual throughput. So you can define the throughput well in advance, or you can also enable the auto scale. So while enabling auto scale, you can provide the maximum RUs as well. So you don't extend certain limit. And if you go down, there is an option if you want to enable analytics store or not. So if this option is selected off, then the analytics store will be off. If it is on, then the analytics store will be enabled. So this way, once you set up your Cosmos DB database and the account, then you can create a new container by enabling the analytics store. Now, setting up the container to use the analytics store. So basically, once the container is created, we have already looked at the step. We have to look at the setting of our container. So as you see here, there are multiple options. So once the container is created with the name and all the partition key which we have provided, if you click on a setting button, then there are multiple options available. So the first option is time to live. You can basically turn it on and off. We will also look into the detail what is this time to live option. Geospatial configurations of whether you want to configure geospatial within a geography or a geometry. And then analytics storage time to live. You can change it to on and off. So let's understand what is this analytics time to live operation. So time to live feature for analytics store basically determines how long the data in an analytics store should live for. So this setting is isolated from the TTL setting we set for our transactional store. So since these two settings are isolated, data archiving becomes simpler for end users. So basically analytics store is optimized in terms of storage compared to the transactional store. By enabling the time to live feature, we can basically retain the data for a longer period of time in the analytics store by setting the analytic TTL at a longer retention interval. So yeah, by defining the time to live interval, we can basically determine how much time we want to store the data or keep the data. We don't have to specifically create a custom mechanism to archive the data or make it available for later use. So that way we just have to configure it and then it will store the data for a specific amount of time. Now, once the setup and the configuration is done, next step is we want to connect Azure Cosmos DB, how we can connect Azure Cosmos DB to Azure Synapse. So basically, we have a container with then. So once we create the container inside Cosmos DB, we enable the analytics store and then we can connect our Cosmos DB account to the Synapse. So first of all, before we are able to connect Cosmos DB to Synapse, we have to create the Synapse workspace. If you already have a Synapse workspace, then it is fine. But if you don't have a Synapse workspace, then you can follow this link and then try to create the Synapse workspace. So once the Synapse workspace is created, what we can do is from the data object explorer. So this is the data object explorer in the Synapse workspace. In which we can just click on a plus button. As soon as you click on a plus button, it will expand, and then you can select connect to the external data. So as soon as you click on a connect to external data, the Cosmos DB data you will get a list. From that list, you can choose Cosmos DB. As a linked connection. So once you click on a connect to external data button, then this is how the screen appears. There are multiple sources to connect to the external data. So you can connect to blob storage. You can connect to Cosmos DB with Mongo API, SQL API, or Data Explorer or ADLS Gen 2. So from the list, you can connect to the specific instance of Cosmos DB, and that way you can establish the connectivity. Now, at the time of writing, what we can do is we can connect the Cosmos DB account either with one of the API. It can be MongoDB or SQL API. So if you have created a Cosmos DB container with a global distributed, then analytics store will be available for that container in all the regions. So changes to any changes to the transaction store is replicated across all the regions with the Cosmos DB account. So when we run the query against the analytics store, we are actually running the query against the nearest regional copy of the data, which is stored inside the Cosmos DB. So this is how we can establish the connectivity from Cosmos DB to via Synapse. And based on the geo replication or replication configuration, the data will be computed and accessed in a nearest manner as explained in this slide. Now, once you click on the from the external connectivity, once you click on the Cosmos API, basically it will open up this new link service new link service screen. Here you have to provide the link service name, integration runtime. It can be auto-resolved integration runtime, which is the compute provided by Azure itself. And then the account selection. So which account which you want to connect from of Cosmos DB. So you can select the subscription and the account name. And then once we create the connection, that link service will appear in the link tab. So in the Synapse workspace, here specific to the specific service, you'll be able to connect, we'll be able to see the link service by which you will be able to connect to the Synapse from Cosmos database. So now we can differentiate between the container that have the analytics store enable and the one where analytics store is not enabled. So normally when analytics only OLTP is enabled, or when the analytics store is not enabled, the container symbol will look like this. And when the analytics store is enabled, the image will look like this. Now, once the configuration and the link service creation is done, we need to create the Apache Spark pool. So in order to do that, we have to create an Apache Spark pool in the Synapse Analytics workspace. So now, in order to do that, again, let's go back to the Synapse workspace. From the workspace, you have to go to the Analytics pool tab and then select the Apache Spark pool and then create the new Apache Spark pool. So this way you can create a new Apache Spark pool. Then we can then configure our Spark pool. So as soon as you click on a button to create Apache Spark pool, then the pop-up will appear. Here you have to provide the Spark pool name, the node size family, the actual node size, auto scale, whether you want to scale, whether you want to enable auto scale or not, and then the number of nodes based on your requirement. So you have to provide this information, and then once all the additional setting tags and reviews are also basically reviewed, and then you are okay, then you can click on the create button to create the Spark pool. So once you set up everything, click on a create button, then you'll be able to see the Spark pool ready. So as soon as you click on a create button, you see if something is ready to publish. Once you click on a publish button, then the Spark pool will be created, and then it will be available and accessible within the Synapse Analytics. And now we have seen what is the fundamental of Cosmos DB, fundamentals of Synapse DB, what is Synapse link for Cosmos DB, and also we also checked what is Cosmos DB and Analytics store. Now let's understand the end-to-end real-time example by taking some JSON, some random 10,000 documents in a file format, and how we can ingest it into the Cosmos DB without creating any ETL pipelines. So in this example, we are going to talk about basically random 10,000 files which have been created from the device. This is one of the example of those 10,000 documentation, which is in the form of key value pair. So ID, temperature, damage level, age in days, and location. So what we are going to do is we will try to query the data using the Spark. When querying the data, we can either load the data to Spark data frame, or we can also create the Spark table. So Synapse Apache Spark enables us to query the data in Cosmos DB. So we can query the Cosmos database without impacting any transactional workload. So we can insert the data into Cosmos DB. We can read the data into Cosmos DB, as well as we can also use structured streaming with both Cosmos DB as a source and sink. So we can, in a near real time, we can get the data from Cosmos DB, as well as we can also ingest the data into Cosmos DB. So in order to load the data using the Spark pool, first of all, we have to create the Spark data frame. So I'm taking an example of PySpark. So what we do is in the Spark, we have to create a data frame. In the data frame, we read like we have a command spark.read.format. So for Cosmos DB Analytics Synapse link, we have to use the format as cosmos.olep. Option should be spark.synapse.link service, and then this is the link service which we created in the first step. Here you have to provide the link service name, and then the second option is to provide the container name. So in which container we want to ingest the data in Cosmos DB, that one we have to configure, and then the load option. So whenever so the data will be loaded automatically based on the data frame. So once we run this command, we can see in the notebook the data frame has been created, and the same data frame we will be able to look it as a table. Now, if you want to query the data which is being stored, then we can execute the query. So first of all, from the data available with us, we are going to drop few columns which are RID, TS, and ETEC, just to understand how we can enable the query mechanism. So in PySpark itself, we are dropping few columns, and then as soon as you drop the column, and if you show the data frame, then you will be able to view the table. Now, once we have prepared the data frame, we can now use Synapse to perform the analytics. So in the data frame, we have a column for the old device in days. So let's see how we can do some kind of small analytics with Synapse. So what we are going to do is, in the previous data frame, we have dropped few column, which is in the data frame df underscore clean. So in df underscore clean, you can do the order by. So we are going to order by the data frame based on the age in days. And then we will, once it is done, we want to display the output. So in just a very simple command and two command, we'll be able to perform the analytics with the help of Synapse in the PySpark language. Now, if you want to work with analytics store in Azure Synapse, then we are just demonstrating here the capability of being able to query the analytics store in Cosmos DB in Azure Synapse without affecting the transactional load. So here we just as an example, we are taking some smaller examples how we can do some kind of transformation to access and view the data, but we can also query the data in T-SQL using the serverless SQL pool. So when we provision the Azure Synapse, we immediately have a serverless SQL pool available for us, where we can use various T-SQL commands as well as various PySpark commands to perform very small as well as high scale transformation. And then we'll be able to do the analytics on the top of data available in Cosmos DB. Now, coming back to the cost of configuring Synapse link for Cosmos DB. We need to consider and trade off the balance based on the requirement. So when we use the Synapse link for Cosmos DB, we have to pay for both analytics store in Cosmos DB as well as for Synapse analytics as well, which we are going to use to perform and transform the data. The analytical store follows a consumption-based pricing model. So basically, you will be charged for a storage retained in the analytics store in both analytical read and write operations. So when the pricing is separate from transactional store, we don't have to provision the request unit, which we have to do it in the transactional store. So in Cosmos DB, when you perform any operations, the calculation is calculated in the form of request units, basically. So you don't have to provision, when we use Synapse link for Cosmos DB, we have to pay for the request units for both Cosmos DB as well as Synapse Analytics, which is separate from the transactional store. Now we are almost at the final end of this topic where we try to understand the limitations of the Synapse link for Cosmos DB feature or solution. So of course, there are certain limitations to Azure Synapse links for Cosmos DB. So currently, Synapse links for Cosmos DB is only available for SQL and MongoDB API. It is not available for Gremlin and Cassandra API. Then the second limitation is for any containers within the analytics store enable. Automatic backup and restore of data is not currently supported. So you have to do the backup and restore by yourself manually when you do it. And if you need to restore your transactional store, then container will be restored without any analytics store enabled. So you have to again configure the analytics store. So these are a few limitations of using Synapse link for Cosmos DB to enable near real-time data ingestion. So yeah, that's the end of the topic and the points which I wanted to discuss. If you have any query, feel free to ask. And thanks a lot for joining the session. And if there are no questions, then I will hand it over to John.
That was great, Sagar. Thank you so much for taking us through that. Yeah, I don't think we've got any questions in the chat. So I guess if anybody's got any questions, they can reach out to you on the socials. But yeah, everybody's sending their emoji, what do you call them? Emoji hand claps? I don't know. What is it? Round of applause. That was awesome. Thanks for coming on and saying hello, Sagar. That was great information. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Superb. Okay. Well, I think we've got Arindam in the chat there, so I think we shall hand straight over to you, Arindam. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, John, for inviting. Really appreciate it. Seen your a lot of speaker sessions, and one of my colleagues, he has been attending and he has been recommending me for your sessions and everything. So yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great to get invited in your session. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, Arindam.
Yep. Okay, so I will then, John, share my screen, and then I will explain my topic. I don't have a presentation, but I will run the entire workshop because my topic is on DevOps, and I will run the entire code of mine, that what exactly I'm presenting, so that it gives a more view to the audiences, and if they have any questions, and they can always come back to me.
That's perfect.
Okay.
I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so let me start with the saying that there are like combination of two topics. So I'm going to demonstrate with Azure DevOps that how you can fetch the secrets and how you can fetch selected secrets. But before I do, a small introduction from my side. Myself, Arindam Mitra, and I'm based out of Switzerland. I have overall of 15 years of experience, 10 years in infrastructure, data center, and everything. And then I moved to cloud 5 years back. Started with AWS, and then after working 1 year in AWS, I moved to Azure, and now I'm an Azure lead and a DevOps architect. And I'm doing all the automation, architecture, build, run for an organization where I'm working. And I typically write blogs and I speak focusing only on DevOps. When I say DevOps, it's mostly on Terraform, PowerShell, GitHub Actions, Azure DevOps. So this is the area which I focus on. And my speaker sessions, my blogs are mostly on codes, because this is my specialty, and this is what I like to share with my community. So saying that, this is like two-phase topic. The part one is I'm trying to fetch the secrets where your identity doesn't have access to the key vault. For example, I have my account like arindam.mitra@onmicrosoft.com, something like this. So this identity, it doesn't have any access to the key vault. But then also I'm still fetching the secrets which are stored in the key vault. And then this is one part where I'm fetching all the secrets which are stored there. And then there's a second part where I am showing you that what happens if there's a condition where you have 10 secrets and then you have to only fetch 2 secrets out of the 10. So 8 you don't want, 2 you want. So that is the second part. Why this use case? This use case, it came across because there was a Lighthouse implementation, Azure Lighthouse. And we implemented this Azure Lighthouse. And when we implemented this Azure Lighthouse, the benefit of Azure Lighthouse is that any of the service provider who is managing cloud for you, so I'm the customer, and for example, John is the service provider. So when John has to do something in my subscription and my tenant, the beauty of Azure Lighthouse is that you don't have to invite John's identity into my tenant, or I don't have to create an additional account of John into my tenant. That is the beauty of Azure Lighthouse, and that is why Lighthouse is being so much promoted by Microsoft. But what happens in the key vault? We have a key vault. For example, I go to the portal, and then I have a key vault here. In this key vault, I have the secrets. So here is where I have all my secrets. But if I if I want to get the secret or list the secrets, so these are typical permissions of the secrets or of the key vault, I need to have I need to have a service principal or a AAD group or a user account, which needs to be mapped out here. So I have to give certain permissions out here. But what happens in case of Azure Lighthouse, John's identity is not in my tenant. And in my tenant, if it is not in my tenant, how would I add his user account in the key vault access policies? Because there is no identity. So this this actually, got me very curious that, okay, if this is a use case, then, how am I supposed to fetch the secrets? If somebody wants it, at middle of the night, some VM crashed and they need to log into the VM and they need to get the username and the password, how they're supposed to do it. I'm not saying that it's one of the best solutions, but this was the workaround I found till the time, we could fix it using Azure Lighthouse, but this was the workaround which I did. So what I did was like, so all the team members of mine, from the service provider side, they never had any access to the Key Vault access policies. So whenever they want to fetch the secrets, they used to run the pipeline, which I'll show you in some time, and then they could download the entire secrets as a part of artifacts in the Azure DevOps pipeline. So this was one part. And when time permits, I have a full written blog out here, where I've tried to explain to the best of my intention, best of the transparency. You have all the code. Here is my Git repository where you can find the code and everything. And here I have tried to explain all the pipelines, what it does and how it does, which I will show you in some time. And then how it is fetching up. So this is the first part. Then I got more curious, and then I thought that, okay, what happens if out of the 10 secrets, they are only interested in 1 or 2? And I know that, these are the guys who are supporting this application, and this application has maybe like 2 or 3 secrets. That's just irrelevant for them. Why do they require it? So that aroused another curiosity of mine. And then I wrote another blog, or actually I did another thing that I am doing, fetching the selective secrets. So you can again read it. So this is the second part of my blog. And again, the codes and every possible details you can find out here. Everything is written down, but I will again run this whole thing. So coming back to the first part. So here, this is my Git repository, and here I have the first part, fetch secrets. Let's dive into this first. So I have my Azure DevOps pipeline. So here you can see that, it's if you guys are new to Azure DevOps, or if you guys are mature in DevOps, this is for all audiences. So this I have, for the trigger part, I have kept it none, which means that, when I'm committing my code to the master branch, this pipeline will not run because I have kept it as none. If I keep it as main, it means that, if I'm committing my code to main branch, the number of times I'm committing it, the number of times this pipeline will automatically run. Then I have some variables, pipeline variables, which I have selected. So for any Azure DevOps, so the DevOps and Azure, these are 2 different entities. If you want to connect them, you need to have a service principal. And that service principal is actually configured in Azure DevOps as service connection. This is what is this part. Then I have mentioned the Key Vault name, and then I have mentioned the artifact name, which is AM, which is my initial, Arindam Mitra. Then I have the pool, which is the VM image. So I'm using the Windows build agent. The build agent is nothing. It is just a platform on which your pipeline is actually running. So this is all about this one. Then I'm declaring the stage. So I have a stage, where this is use case for it's going to display, and then it's going to export all the secrets from the Key Vault. So this is a stage. And then I have the first task, which is saying the Azure Key Vault task. What it does is simply that I have used the secret filter as star. It's just like in SQL query. Star means all. So it means that from this Key Vault, it will fetch all the secrets, okay, using this service connection. This service connection is nothing, but on the top where I have defined the service connection out here. Okay. Now I scroll down, and then this is the very, very plain, simple logic which I have used. First, what I do is I'm just trying to make sure that my service principal with which I'm logging into the subscription, it is the right one. Then what I'm doing is that with this command, I'm actually iterating my, I'm asking the whole CLI to check, to go into the Key Vault and check that how many secrets are there in the keyword. And depending upon that, I have used the length parameter, which is actually going to give me a count. Once this is giving me a count, I'm running a for loop, which is saying that it is going to run till the time it is reaching the count factor. For example, if I have 4 secrets, so it will check till 3 because it is starting with 0. So it will be 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So total becomes 4, and then I'm just incrementing this whole parameter. Once this is done, the first thing which is there is that it is querying, and then it is then storing it in the secret. It's just then storing the secret name, and then again it is querying, and then it is keeping the secret value. And then after that, I'm using this whole convention to echo out, and then I am using the redirection parameters to store it in the text file. But what happens here is that now you have fetched the secret, you have fetched the secret name, you have fetched the secret password, secret value, sorry. But this whole secret.txt is in the build agent. For example, here I'm using the Microsoft hosted build agent, which means that I have no access to the VM on which my pipeline is running. And inside that VM, the secret.txt is there. So now this part is over. So now, I know that, okay, I have fetched everything. I have exported it into txt. This is all good. But how I'm going to take it out from the Microsoft hosted build agent to my local system? This is where I'm trying to use the copy task. So this is basically what it is doing. It is copying it in the artifact staging directory. Artifact staging directory is nothing. It's a built-in variable inside Azure DevOps, which means that it is actually pulling it out and it is storing somewhere in the DevOps, right? So I'm just first copying it from the build agent to somewhere on the DevOps environmental variables. After that, I do the copy, and then I am actually publishing it as an artifact. An artifact is nothing but it can be one file, or it can be it can be multiple files. But this is something which you are actually pinning up to the Azure DevOps GUI, which is the graphical user interface. Apologies. So this is what it publish means, and I'm publishing it, and this I'm here using the artifact as an, which I have defined it here. Now let's see how it works. So now in my keyword, I have secret 005, secret 006, 7, and 8, and now I need to fetch all of them. What I'll do here is I have this thing. So I normally what I do is whenever, since I'm working a lot of things, I do a lot of coding and a lot of automation. So that is why it becomes extremely important for me that when I'm running a pipeline, I'm creating a folder so that my pipeline executions and everything is categorized. So I have now KV secrets. So here 1.1 represents the first part of my blog, which is fetching all the secrets. Then I have 1.2, which is my second part, which is the selective secret. Now I go here. So it's all settled. And now what I will do is I will simply go here and I will just run the pipeline. Okay. So now, I'll just pause a little bit for the pipeline to continue before I proceed.
Is it okay if I can ask a question in the meantime all at once?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yes. So what we have essentially done is, instead of we creating something in the Key Vault, we have configured the DevOps pipeline. We have created a service connection to the Key Vault in such a way that the identity of the DevOps pipeline is accessing the Key Vault instead of the user.
Exactly. So it's just like in the Azure. It's like I'll explain you in the data center world and the cloud world.
Yeah.
So in the data center world, what we used to have was service accounts. Service accounts is nothing but a user identity in the Azure in the Active Directory in the Windows So Active Directory is just a dummy user account, which was given some delegated permission, which you can run it as a service. In the whole Azure world, the service account is nothing but a service principal. So I create the service principal in Azure. And then what I do, the first step in Azure principal, what I do is I map the Azure principal with one of the RBACs. And that the scope can be a resource group or it can be a subscription. So here in my lab subscription, what I have done is I have created a service principal, and then the service principal I have mapped it to the subscription level, where I have given that this service principal is provided a contributor access to the on the subscription scope, so that it can do everything. And then with the same service principal name and the secret, I went to DevOps and I created the service connection. So this is how you are integrating the DevOps and Azure, because these are two different entities, and you're bringing it together. So you need a medium to integrate it.
Perfect. Got it. Perfect. That was well explained. Just another follow-up question also, if that's okay. Has it not, oh, it just completed. So I'll just take the last 30 seconds. So instead of doing it via the pipeline, right, that the identity that is the service principal that is created, we could potentially create a user and then assign the user that permission instead of the DevOps, right? So that the human user itself can access the portal directly. I mean, I'm a little, I don't get the point why they have to go via the DevOps. If you see, the role is created with all the custom permissions, everything. The RBAC role can be applied to the user itself directly, right? Or a group of users, so that the user itself can directly go into the key vault and access whatever they want to access. Does it make sense? Or
no? I understand why you are asking this question. Let me explain you with the question and the answer. So go back to the legacy world. The legacy world. I apologies if anybody is working on the on-premises. I don't want to. I don't want to offend anybody, but because the cloud and the container is now booming and everybody is moving there. So let's say suppose we go back to the data center world. When you have a data center, you have a virtual machine on which your application is running. Okay. Now when your application is running, now you have created let's say suppose a Windows-based application, and you want that, okay, this Windows application, I want to run it, but I want to run it as a Windows service. Okay. Now you're running that as a Windows service, but will you run that service as an individual user account, or will you run it as a service account?
It should be a service account. Not
correct.
Definitely, yeah.
Why don't you run it as an individual user account? Because that user can leave the organization. That user can go and leave. It might be that because of the organizational policy, you don't want to share the password. There can be a lot of limitation. But service account is service that it's a generic. Now just translate this whole scenario in the Azure world.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Could I answer the question?
Yes, almost, yes. I'm a little surprised why Microsoft didn't provide that whole option of that service account and making us create a DevOps pipeline and all the hackety hack way.
It's just like it's not like in every organization who are practicing DevOps and kind of every organization is using it in a similar way. And why we do it in this way is also one of the core thing is that right now we are talking on a very fundamental level of service principle and service connection and those things. Later on, maybe right now I'm fetching the code, but what happens that that you want to, with your pipeline, maybe there's a requirement that you want to create some groups, or maybe there's a requirement that you want to remove some users from the groups. It means that there has to be a certain admin or the tenant level rights on your SPI. And in order to add those tenant level rights, it means that you have to give some graph API rights to your service principal, which you would be reluctant to give to a cloud engineer who is like level 1 or level 2 because it's a tenant level access. And tenants are very, very, how would I say, it's just like a DNS server or maybe an Active Directory where you don't give everybody the same level of access so that nobody messes up with the whole infrastructure. So when you dig more deep, then you will slowly understand that why Microsoft recommends to have a service principal integration of Azure DevOps and Azure rather than introducing a user account.
Yes, perfect. Got it. Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
No worries.
Abby, there's another point. You can't actually run a DevOps pipeline as a normal user account.
What I was planning is we skip the entire DevOps itself. We directly create a service principal, not service, but create an RBAC and create the user account, assign the user permissions to that user account, and skip the whole DevOps itself, because the end goal is to get the password, right? So instead of going via the Azure DevOps and triggering from here, we can create a custom role, give only what the user needs.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is don't assign it to a group, not to a specific user. But you may well end up doing that anyway, depending on how people use things. For example, some of our devs have key vault access rights, so they can update, delete secrets, etc., etc. But the less people you can give access to the key vault, the better, frankly, because the whole point is it's supposed to store secrets in it. And I've seen scenarios where devs have been given access and they go off changing a secret or delete one. They change a password for a database, and then somebody else comes along, tries to do a thing, and it doesn't work.
Yes, perfect. Got it.
Okay, so now the pipeline got completed successfully. So we did. So these are all the things on the left hand side, which I'm trying to highlight. AZ key vault task, fetch all secret, copying it to the artifact staging directory, and then publishing artifact. These are all tasks in the stage. And if you go here, you see that the one which I tried to publish is here. So you click on this one, published. And this is the name of the artifact, which I mentioned in my code. You go here and you download out here, so it got downloaded. And then, if I do it in the folder, okay. And then, so you see that I have the secret name. This is the secret name, and this is the secret password. Sorry, this is secret value again. This is again the same. So this is the format which I have defined out here, which I explained in my code, that the format will be here, like the so you see that this is the key, and this is the value, and this is the colon is the separator, and this is what you can see it in the file as well. So this is how it's like downloading whole secret. Now I move to the next part of the demo, and let me go back here. And now we come to the next part of the things. So this is the selective secret part that I'm doing it. In order to do selective secret, the first part which I had to do was like I have to go to each of the secrets, and when I stored the value in the secret, what I did was I added tags. So here what I did, like so you can show and you can see that. Okay,
sorry to interrupt, but would it be possible to zoom the screen a little bit?
Sure, why not? Is it better now? Can you see it?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Apologies for that. So I have like one of the tags out here. So like what I did, like I created, when I created this whole secret, the secret version, what I did, like I added the name, and then I added the value, and then I added the tag. So that the tag is something like a key and a value pair. Required by is the key, and the cloud provider is a value. So this I did. So what I did here was for secret 005, I created this tag as cloud provider. Now I go back for 6. If I go for the secret version, you see that I have another tag, but this tag is different than the first one. The first one was like the cloud provider, and now here is the POC. It's a different tag. Now I go back to the secret 007. So here I have this. I have no tags. Okay. And in secret 008, if I go here, I have a tag, and this is exactly like secret 005. So in summary, secret 005 and 008, they have the same tag. 06, they have tag, but it is different tag. And 07, it doesn't have any tag. So now let's dive into the code. The rest is all the same, but I'll directly jump into the logic part, which is this one. So what I'm doing is, again, I'm setting up the right subscription so that it can find the secret and everything, and then I'm iterating and I'm trying to take the count, and then I'm running the for loop based on the count. Now, the first thing which I'm checking is that if the secret tag which is there is equal to kv no tag. So when if a secret version doesn't have any tag, right? So if it doesn't have any tag that so what it displays is like this. So if you're running this command in a Cloud Shell, or maybe in a PowerShell Core or PowerShell 7, anywhere you run it, or in CMD, So if the secret version doesn't have any tags, then what happens? It returns this. This is the value which it returns, which means that it doesn't have any tag. The secret version doesn't have any tag. So what I have done here is very simple. So I am checking that if there is no tag. So what it does is that it will just take the secret name, and then it will display you that, okay, there is no tag for the secret name. So this is my if part. Then I'm running the else if part, which is then the second condition, that the secret tag is equal to the kv tag. And here the kv tag which I have taken, let's scroll up a bit. So the kv tag I've taken is that this should be the tag. So this tag was configured in secret 005 and 008, which means that I have right now 4 secrets. And in that 4 secrets, according to my pipeline condition, I should only get the secret name and secret value for 005 and 008. For 6 and 7, it should not be exporting that into my text file. That's the condition. Now I go back again. So that was the else if part. So once I did the else if part, if this condition is matching, then what is happening? It is again exporting the whole thing to the secret, same like the first block. And then, if I'm putting a last else clause, which is simply telling me that, okay, so it is not, so the no tag is not matching, and the tag which is there is just like a different tag. So if it is a different tag, then it is displaying that there are other tags configured apart from the tag for secret names. This is how. And the rest part is all the same. It's very simple. Again, whatever conditions it is meeting, which is the else if condition, which is meeting. So it is then exporting the TXT file. It is again copying to the artifact staging directory. Once it is configuring, then again I'm publishing into DevOps GUI. This is the whole gist of the code. Again, let's dive into it and see that if actually this is the case. So I go back here. So I now go back to the version 1.2. I'll go back to version 1.2. So this is my version. Now I run the pipeline. Once I run the pipeline, so let's run it, and I'll just close this one. And let's see that if actually the whole thing which I explained, how does it see in the reality. I'll just pause for a bit. I can in the between, I can just expand a little bit, the same situation like that you can. Okay. So it completed successfully. So let's see the fetch all secret. Now I scroll down, here. And you see that, I'm now, in the console also I'm like exporting because it sometimes becomes easier, to see the things, pictorially out here. So you see the first one, it shows that the value of AM secret 005 is exported to the secret. The next one says that there are other tags configured, which means that it didn't export. The third one, this is the second one. So this is the whole statement for second one. The third one says that there is no tags for secret 007, and the fourth one says that this has been exported. So now if I go here, and now I see that one has been published. Once I get published, I see here, I open it again, I download it. Now it got downloaded, and let's open this one. You see that I have secret 005 and only 008 being exported. So everything is there in the GitHub repository. All my codes is there. It's you can find everything out here. This is the second part of the blog. Again, feel free to read it. If you have any comments, please leave it. Happy to have any opinions from you guys, any feedback from you guys. And this is the first part of the secret. So that's all from my side. And I'm happy to take any questions and anything which you guys have for me.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Arindam. I don't think we've got any additional questions. I think you've done well to tackle those as they come. So yeah, thanks for the interaction from the audience as well. So no, I think it leaves us nothing more to say, but thank you for your time, Arindam. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you again for
Thank
inviting.
you very much, Arindam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And again,
okay.
And guys, thank you so much for again inviting me in your forum. Really appreciate it.
No, anytime. Thanks for coming along. Well, I hope you're going to stick around because we're going to do the quiz now. So everybody can join in.
Yeah.
A little bit of fun interaction. I'll hand on over to our resident quiz master.
Yep, I'm just going to share up now. So we should have, everyone should be able to see that one.
I'm going to join in as well.
As you might imagine, it's a bit build heavy, so I hope everyone was paying attention to the build sessions from end of last month.
We tried to, based out of all the work and everything. Yeah, I tried to follow everything. There was a lot of being published. I saw April Edwards and Chris.
Yep.
I also saw John, clicking some photos with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I know, John, you were there in person, weren't you?
Anywhere? It was a good day. Yeah, the UK day in Thames Valley Park. Yeah, it was great to it was the first time I'd been out in a proper seeing real people, at that scale. So yeah, it was great. It's quite a nice little, set of sessions. I think it was only about 20 sessions. There was only a few hundred people there, but it felt quite nice. It's the nice size.
Excellent.
There we go. How many we got? That's probably 1, 2, 3. Yeah, have we got anybody that can't get in for any reason? Arindam, are you joining us?
Yes.
I haven't yet, but I think I will soon.
Go on then. So usual format, we got 2 £25 vouchers up for grabs. So first and second place, and
good chances tonight.
It is good chances tonight. Does that mean we got one person not joined? You're not joining, Matt, but
yeah, no, that looks about right. I won't be joining.
Does anybody can't get in?
There we go.
There we go. There he is.
Let's kick off.
That's us. Let's go for it.
Maui went GA at Build 2022. What does Maui stand for? Multi-platform user interface, Mac, Android, Unix, iOS. Multi-abstraction unique interface. May all unions intersect. Bit of a math joke. The answer was multi-platform app user interface. Great bit of technology. My new favorite plaything at the moment, that is. Next one. What was added to Azure Communication Services in preview in May 2022? Was it voice, video, SMS, or email? It was email. Oh, see, all the others were already there. Email was the last holdout. Which of the following is not part of the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform? Power Automate is the right one. Most people knew that one. Good. What's the name of the product that can provision and manage developer workstation VMs? Microsoft VS Spaces, Microsoft DevBox, Azure Dev Spaces, Visual Studio Cloud Environments. All of those are potential names. It was Microsoft DevBox. Well done to the 5 of you that got that one. What's the new name for Power Apps portals? Power to the people, Power Rangers, Power Pages, Power Docs. It's probably a 50-50 guess on that one. Yep, Power Pages. That's the right answer. When is i11 officially retired? August 3rd, 2022, December the 1st, June the 15th, or it was retired last year? It's today. Sad day, i11. No, it's not a sad day at all. Everyone hates i11, particularly if you're a web developer. What's the project name of the ARM-based DevBox that we announced at Build? Volterra, Voltron, Landshark, or Vixen? It was Project Volterra. When is the Windows subsystem for Android due to arrive in the UK? Never. It's already available. 2024, by the end of this year. If you haven't had a chance to see this, it's coming by the end of the year. This is the Android. This is the Amazon-backed Android store running on Windows 11, natively emulated. I think this is the last one. Which topic is covered by the new beta MS 220 exam? Is it Intune, Exchange Online, Active Directory, or cybersecurity? The answer is Exchange Online. Oh, that split the pack. Container Apps is built on which platform? Service Fabric, App Service, Kubernetes Service, or container instances? If you were listening earlier before we started, I did mention this. That's right, it's Kubernetes Service. It's Kubernetes without the pain. And our winner is Mr. Johnny Chips at this point.
Yay. Obviously, I'm going to step down at that point.
With
So,
Joe and Alan, looks like.
Joe and Alan. Joe Hubbard, I'm assuming that's you. There's no other Joes in there, is it?
It is me, yes.
Good. And Alan, you're the only Alan in there. Alan Florence. Cool. Do me a favor, Joe and Alan, just drop me a DM or a LinkedIn message. Just confirm your email again. Cause I'll just, not that I haven't got it already, but just acts as a little reminder so I can get the vouchers sent off for you.
Great.
Well done, guys.
Thank you all.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. So, thank you everybody for joining. Really appreciate you kind of turning up and showing your love and support for the group. Huge thanks to the speakers. In fact, let me just quickly share my screen just to get some dates and the QR code up on there. I love it how Teams goes little window whenever you share screens. It's very off-putting. So there we go. Yeah, huge shout out to our speakers, Sagar and Arindam. Huge thanks for coming on and making tonight's session what it was. Great topic areas. I've certainly learned a lot from the speakers tonight. So huge thanks to you guys for coming on. Find my little mousey button. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining. Like I say, there's the QR code feedback URL. Our next session will be on the 20th of July. So bookmark the dates. I've not got the meetup event set up just yet. We're waiting on confirmation of speakers. And I think, Matt, we're probably looking at a hybrid event again soon, aren't we?
Yeah, hopefully.
About it.
So if not August, then certainly September.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. There we are, Joe. I know we got a couple of locals that can join us for beer and pizza, and everybody else can come on virtually. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your evening. Leave us some feedback. Bookmark the date for the 20th of July, and we'll see you then.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes, thank you very much, all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, all.
Cheers. Thank you very much, John.
Cheers, Alan.
Thanks, John.